Welcome aboard Flight Simmers. My name is Rowan, I'm a real-life commercial multi-engine pilot, and today we're looking at the brand new CALS DA42. Now in fact, this is the aircraft which I did my multi-engine training in, so it's going to be very interesting to see how it is perceived in the simulator, so let's jump right into it. So for starters, we are on the ground at first flight, or Kilo Foxtrot Foxtrot Alpha, which I think is very appropriate because this is going to be our first flight in this aircraft. But in this first video of many, we are just going to be doing the pre-flight, so how we can correctly do the walk around the aircraft and understand the different aspects of the aircraft before we do jump in and start flying. So for starters, we're going to quickly hop inside the aircraft and open up the canopy so that we have access to it. And then what we're going to do is load up our trusty checklist and basically start running through our pre-flight checklist. So for starters, we're going to do our pre-flight interior, so let's make our way over here, and what we're going to do is essentially check all of the different stuff like our airplane documents. Are they all on board? For example, our registration, our airworthiness, our AFM, which has our weight and balance. And then what we're going to do is remove all of our covers. So if we have a canopy cover, our pitot tube covers, and so on. Next, we're going to check our circuit breakers. Make sure everything is all in, nothing's popped out. And then for starters, we're going to make sure our start key is out. In this case, we can't pull it out in the sim, but we're just going to pretend that it is. Our gear selector is checked down. And then what we want to do is turn on the electric master and listen to those sounds. Those are the hydraulic systems pressurizing and coming to life. And we can also hear the fans of the G1000 coming to life as well. So what we want to do is basically check our battery voltage. Make sure that we're still within the green. And then we're also going to check our fuel quantity, which is right here. So we've got 24 gallons of fuel on board. We're only going to be doing a short flight, so that's perfectly fine. And our temperature is in the green as well. Next up, we want to check our aux pumps. So if we have the long range tanks, we want to make sure that these are switched to off. And then what we want to do now is turn on all of our aircraft lights. And then also turn on the pitot heat and also make sure that the parking brake is set. And then we're going to quickly do our tests. So for starters, we want to make sure that the pitot heat is starting to warm up. I can't physically touch it, but I'm sure this is. And then we want to start looking at the lights. We've got our red navigation light, our strobe, and our white solid light at the back. And then for the right hand side, we've got the solid white light, the strobe light, and also the green nav light. And then underneath the aircraft, we've got our two taxi and landing lights. And that basically covers that. So what we want to do now is come back inside and turn off the system so we do not drain the battery. And then also we want to test our stall heat. I wonder if we can press it. No, unfortunately not. That would be cool if we could though. Basically, we don't have a stall horn which uses a suction or a vacuum. This is done electronically, so what happens is that when it flaps up, which is when we no longer have enough lift of the wing, it's basically going to trigger an electronic alarm which basically enunciates to us that we're about to stall. And then now that we finish that, we can switch off the electric master and start making our way around the aircraft. So canopy front left side, which is going to be right here. Basically everything is looking all good. The cargo door, as we can see, is closed currently. I don't believe we can open this, which is unfortunate, but we don't need to put anything in there, so that's not too bad. So what we're going to start off with is looking at the main gear from this side. We want to make sure that we've got at least 4 centimeters of strut showing. That's just a safe amount of strut which should be showing based off of the pressure inside of a cylinder. And the gear is in a downlocked position. Tire condition from this side looks to be all good. And our brake and hydraulic line, we can visually see that there's no hydraulic leak. Coming up to the left engine. So what we want to do is check the propeller. So make sure that there is no cracks, no dents, nothing like that. and also that the propeller is in the correct position. So it should be in a unfeathered state. So this aircraft, when the engine does go out in the air, it will feather automatically because of the way how the prop governor is set up. However, there is a system so that once we are on the ground and below a certain RPM, it will actually unfeather into a forward motion like it is currently. So we want to check our air inlets, make sure everything is all clear and clean. And then making our way around, we would typically check the engine oil and also drain the fuel as well, which are located underneath the wing. We'd then also check the exhaust as well, which is located over here. Make sure that that is firm and not loose. Now, starting on the wings, we want to make sure that we've got the vortex generators, which are right here. Basically, it maintains the level of it maintains a solid level of flow to prevent a bunch of vortexes, which essentially creates an unstable wing. Then we can start making our way around the wing is by checking the leading edges. So in this aircraft we do have anti-ice installed, so typically what's going to happen is it's going to use a weeping wing system, which basically means that we have a bunch of minute micro holes all across the leading edge of the wings, which would push out fluid, which is the TKS, which is our anti-ice. We'd then do other stuff like checking our fuel filler caps, our pitot probe, which should have the cover removed, and then moving along here, we should check our wingtip, so make sure everything is all in good condition. All of the bolts are in, and also the lights, which we've already checked. And then we're looking for the static discharges, make sure they're intact as well. And then once we're over here, what we can do is test the ailerons. So what we're going to do is move our ailerons up and down, and we should see the aileron or the stick inside the aircraft correlating to these movements as well. Then what we're going to do is check the flaps, make sure all the hinges are in place, and also make our way towards the gear. So same thing for the rear, we're going to check that the gear condition is good, our brakes are in good condition. We've still got about 4 centimeters, and also right here in real life there will be a circular pin, I believe it would be described as. It's going to be a circular piece which basically holds the gears in place. So if that's not located there, then you can potentially not have a unsuccessful gear lock, so we want to make sure that's there too. Making our way back towards the fuselage, we have a static port which we want to make sure is clean. Checking our radios and our ELTs, and then start making our way towards the rear of the aircraft. We have our anti-skid plate, our tail strike plate, and then our tail as well. So this is our horizontal stabilizer. It's basically an upside down wing, as you can see here. It has a small winglet to prevent that drag, and then we have another static discharger, and basically we're going to be looking at all the different bolts and stuff, make sure there's nothing inside of the wings, or there's nothing located inside of the rudder like birds. And then what we can also do is move the stuff around. So the elevator, if we can see here, it's a anti-servo trim, so as the elevator moves up, the trim is going to deflect in the same direction. And then same thing for the trim tabs on the rudder. And then checking on the other side, make sure there's no damage. Static discharges are there. Checking the radios and checking the gear again. So checking the gear, brakes good. We've got about 4 centimeters, and the pin is locked into place. Our flaps are good. We've got the hinges, and then the ailerons as well. So moving them up and down as such. Our winglets, very big winglets on this plane. Our lights are all good, static discharges are all good, and then the wings as well, no damage. And then checking the engine again, so checking the blades, our oils and stuff, our air intakes, making sure everything's all clean. And then to the nose, we want to check the nose to make sure that we have at least 15 centimeters in this strut visible so that it is correctly pressurized inside of the cylinder. And then obviously we're checking inside of here. You can see all the carbon fibre, which is quite lovely as well. This is made out of CFRP, so carbon fibre reinforced plastic. And then underneath here looks to be external power, which is not very commonly used. So that basically sums up the whole pre-flight for this whole aircraft. It's a very easy one to do, especially with the fact that we have got two twin diesel Ostra E4-Charlie engines, which are very similar to the E4A engines in the DA40. These are both diesel powered, so they both run off of Jet A. And in the next video we're going to talk about how we're going to get this aircraft started up and get her flying. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video. My name is Rowan. You've been watching Information Alpha. See ya.